It's just on 13 minutes to 9. Of course, the focus this weekend in the world of harness racing is all about the Great Southern Star, a fantastic concept which has been developed by Harness Racing Victoria over the past couple of years. And we've got some special guests that have come in from the United States to be a part of the festivities this weekend. Jonas Czernyson, who is one of the leading harness racing trainers in the United States, and also Callahan, who is without a doubt one of the big name drivers in the States. Gentlemen, thank you for joining me in the studio today.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
Thanks for having us.
Jonas, I'll start with you. This is your first trip to Australia. Do you know a great deal about the harness racing scene here in Australia?
No, not that much, but I mean, I'm trying. I got Michael Toronto and some other guys down here that for owners. So I mean, I'm trying to start following it a little bit more and trying to see if one day maybe we can bring a horse down here.
You have had some involvement, though, with Australian horses over your journey, and you know a lot about Australian horses that have made the transition from here to being shipped into the States.
Yeah, so I mean, I haven't trained any myself, but I've seen other people come bringing them in and everything, so I mean, been following a few of them.
What do you find about, I'll sort of get your background with the United States and your involvement, how strong is the harness racing circuit in the States at the moment?
I mean, it's not the strongest, but I mean, it's... we got a few tracks that's picking up, and Meadowlands is really start to develop in and taking off with a new grandstand, and so hopefully it's coming back to what it used to be.
What about the strength of horses in the States? I mean, particularly in the trotting ranks, everyone hears about how tough the European trotters are. Where would you place the American trotters at the moment?
For the moment, we got some pretty nice horses racing over there. So I mean, it's not a walk in the park to go out and just think you're going to win everything that you're in, because there's a lot of good horses out there.
Corey, you made a relatively start to your involvement in harness racing. I think you started driving at about 27 years of age, give or take 8 years ago or so. What led you down to the path of getting involved at a later stage than what most people would?
You know, I guess I followed a different path. Went to college and you know, put the suit and tie on for, I guess, about 5 years, and I just got tired of doing that. You know, I mean, it was I didn't like Monday mornings anymore, and now I don't even know what day is Monday morning. You know, it's every day I get up and I get to do a job that I love, and you know, I'm very fortunate.
Just explain to our audience, if you could, what it's like being a driver in the United States. What's the schedule like? I mean, I've gone through your stats. I mean, you've been racking up 500 winners a season for the past couple of years, which is simply extraordinary. But I mean, you must be driving here, there, and everywhere.
Right. Yeah. I mean, you know, we get a lot of opportunities. I think I led last year in starts. I had, I think, over 35. You know, I drove in over 3,500 races. But there's, you know, when you get to the top, you know, to a point where you're in demand, I mean, there's plenty of opportunities for you. So, you know, some days I'm doing, you know, double duty between Harrah's, Philadelphia, you know, Dover Downs, and, you know, and then sometimes, you know, at the Meadowlands, you know, on Friday and Saturday night. So, you know, it's just the amount of opportunities that you have out there on the East Coast.
American harness racing is all about speed. How tough is it to drive in these races?
Yeah, I mean, that does make it tough. You know, I mean, when you're driving, you know, 20 a day, and it's, you know, I mean, it's a lot of work, because, you know, you have to be on top of your game the whole time, because everything's all about quick decisions. You don't really have time to, you know, there's not as much sitting, you know, and waiting at home as there is here. I mean, you know, you see here, they'll kind of blast out of there, and then they'll kind of walk a little bit, you know, through the middle half. We like to get a little breather through the middle half if possible. But, you know, there's usually always somebody kind of coming at you, so, you know, it's a lot of work.
Do you feel that that's the better way of having harness racing, to basically just have the charge of the light brigade mentality, I suppose, where it's the pace on from the outset?
You know, I mean, it makes for, you know, good racing for the, you know, for the spectator and for the better. I mean, you know, it's, I don't really think if people, you know, went to a car race, like, they want to see them go fast, you know, so... I think as a spectator, like, they want to see the horses go fast, and when they, you know, we've been breaking world record after world record after world record, so, you know, it's a lot of fun for us, and I think it's, you know, it's very fun for the spectator.
We've only had recently here in Australia, horses break the 150-mile rate. It's only been in the last couple of years, and it's principally out of the big track in New South Wales at Menangle. So, I mean, the influence of speed is becoming more and more prominent and prevalent here in Australia, but I mean, the world record at the moment, you were telling me off air a little bit earlier, is down to about 146 in the States.
Yeah, I mean, that's, you know, that's pretty extreme. I mean, on any given night. I mean, you know, at the Meadowlands before I left, Golden Receiver won there in 49. I mean, he won in 49, home 26-3, his first start after being off for 3 months. So I mean, you know, these trainers know that the horses are going to have to go fast, and you know, they prep them for them and have them ready to do it.
Jonas, how big is your stable at the moment? How many horses do you have in work?
Yeah, 54 right at the moment.
Now, you've got the difficult situation where you kind of have to follow the seasons, I suppose, where you ship horses around at different times of the year. Can you just explain to the audience what you actually have to do?
So come end of November, we literally, all the major races, the stake races are over for the year, so we literally pack up the barn and we move south to Florida, and it's a 24-hour trip by car or van, and I mean, we move everything we got, horses, trunks, all the equipment, people. So I mean, it's a big deal. And then we stay in Florida to right about this time, end of April, and then everything moves back north again.
So, and it's basically to follow the better weather.
Yes. So it's really not for the horses that much. It's more for the people to enjoy it a little bit better.
So from your perspective, though, I mean, clearly you've come out to Australia and you want to be involved in the promotion of what we're doing with the Great Southern Star. But from your own personal perspective, it's actually a really busy time back at home in that process of planning the move back to the up north to chase the stakes races.
Yeah, so it's like, it's really not at the best time for me to leave, but I mean, working with the horses, there's really never a good time to leave a barn with 50-some horses. So I mean, you gotta have good staff, and I'm lucky enough that I got them. My wife is still back home kind of overseeing things, and we got 12 horses leaving Saturday to ship up north to start qualifying here in about 2 weeks. So we're getting closer to get started.
How is your team progressing for this year? Have you got some standouts that could take you to some of the big feature races?
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, I got five pretty nice older trotting mares that's all coming back really nice, and got a couple of nice 3-year-old trotting colts that's looking pretty good. So I'm hoping for a good year.
When you sort of with the trotting ranks in the States, I mean, when do you really start being able to, you know, what do you look for at horses at their different stages of their career to look like they're going to be a standout performer? What's the key ingredient that you look for as a trainer?
I like a big, strong horse. I mean, that's my whole way of training and everything. I train a lot of strength training. I usually don't train that fast as some people does. I mean, we do a lot of bodybuilding and a lot of muscle work on them.
So, as I mentioned with Corey a little bit earlier, from the fact that American racing is all about speed, is that tough for you when you're training a horse? Do you have to train them in a specific way to make sure that they can sustain speed for such a period of time?
That's my way of thinking. There is that I think that I gotta have them strong. I mean, that's if they have the speed will come after a few races into them. But I mean, they gotta be legged up and ready to be able to sustain and keep up week after week.
So from your perspective with this trip, not only to be involved with the Great Southern Star, but you are seriously looking at bloodstock options and the potential of bringing a horse back here?
Yeah, we've been talking back and forth with Michael Toronto and trying to figure out like what kind of horse do we need to look for at home to bring down here. So that's kind of, I mean, I'm looking at the options, kind of watching the races, watching how the horses look and everything, and try to see what kind of a horse would we need to bring down here.
Corey, from your perspective, would you like to come back down here and drive at some stage?
Yeah, I would. You know, I mean, they've done an excellent job, you know, promoting the Great Southern Star. I mean, the launch party was beautiful last night. They, you know, I've been very impressed with what Hunters Racing Victoria has done. You know, in terms of bringing Jonas and myself and Chantel Sutherland down. I mean, they've made us feel at home, and you know, we were actually talking about it this morning. You know, over breakfast, just saying that, you know, we're going to bring this experience back, you know, to the States and hope that they do, you know, a better job of, you know, promoting the Breeders' Crown and, you know, the Hamiltonian. I mean, we have days that go for, you know, what, $6-7 million, you know, in a day, and they don't promote it, you know, nearly as well as they do here. So it's been a lot of fun, and like I said, I can't say enough about what Hunters Racing Victoria has done.
So would you like to see more opportunities where we do see it? Because it happens in the thoroughbred world. It's taken a while, but we see, you know, certain carnivals. We have it for the Melbourne Spring Racing Carnival here in Victoria, where we get a lot of European gallopers to come out for our Melbourne Cup. Would you like to see more of this international competition?
Yes, and that's kind of what they were talking about last night. They want to, almost make it like a kind of like a world trotting derby, so to speak. So, the best trotters throughout the world, will kind of travel on a circuit. They would come here for the Great Southern Star, go to the Prix d'Amérique, the Elite Lop, come to the Breeders' Crown in the U.S. So, I mean, if it's something that, did get to that point, I mean, that's kind of where they're targeting. And, I'm not the only one saying that they would like to come back. I'm sure, there's a lot of drivers in the States right now that are all over Twitter that are, jealous of the position that I've been in down here. So, I think more people would come.
Jonas, if I could ask you, what would your one standout wish for the coming racing season be? If there's one achievement that you would like to have, what would it be?
Oh, the one that always goes back when you're a trotting trainer is to win the Hambletonian. I mean, that's the biggest dream there is. I mean, there's one a year, so that would be the biggest thing.
Now, you've won a Hambletonian Oaks
yes.
in the past. So have you got a horse that's sort of heading in that direction?
Unfortunately, the best one I have is not staked for the Hambletonian, so I'm hoping that one of my other 3-year-old colts will step it up and take his place in there. So,
Corey, similar question. If there's one achievement that you would like to look back on for 2014, what would it be?
Wow, I mean, there's a ton of big races I would like to win. I guess probably the signature ones there at the Meadowlands would be, the Meadowlands Pace and the Hambletonian. Jonas and I, last year in the Hambletonian, we finished 6th, and we got beat that far out of 2nd. So
that's not far, ladies and gentlemen. It's about an inch.
Yeah, that's a big difference in purse money, 0 or 250,000. So, but I'm with Jonas. I'd love to win the Hambletonian. It's their premier race.
Well, I've got to say, it's great having you in town. You're both fantastic ambassadors for the sport of harness racing, not just what you're doing here in Australia, but clearly on the global stage. Thanks for joining me here on Racing Ahead.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thanks for having us.
Corey Callahan and Jonas Czernyson here on the program. We'll have a very special Great Southern Star giveaway coming up after 9 o'clock, but here's John with the news.